and welcome back to our Speaking Voice Limiters and our discussion about why people often don't like the sound of their voice. So there are, like we already saw in the previous videos, there are a number of reasons, but one very obvious one, although it might not be apparent to everybody, is simply the fact that there might be strain and tension in the throat. You see, because I teach voice, I have the tendency that is both a blessing and a curse, but I tend to watch and listen carefully to people's voice all the time. And it's amazing how many people speak with tension in their throat. It's something that probably most people acquire over the years without even noticing it. But in the long run, tension in the throat can be detrimental, most especially if you use your voice for speaking and you give a lot of presentations, and your voice is really an important tool of what you do. So tension in the throat is not only bad for your vocal cords in general, it's also not very good for the quality of sound that you produce. So imagine your throat like, a pipe organ that has all those big long pipes. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those churches where they have those beautiful long metal pipes, and the sound that goes through them can run smoothly through the pipes because they're nice and smooth. Now, if you put, I don't know, a piece of cloth in one of those pipes, it might not clog it completely, but it definitely changes the sound, that it makes it kind of muffled and not particularly crisp and resonant. So when you have tension in your throat, whether it's the vocal cords themselves or the muscles around them, you modify your sound, and usually you modify it in a way that is worse, not better. So this, all of a sudden, it might sound you probably heard people talk like this, that you can feel there's a tension going on all the time, and they might not even know that they're doing it. So in many cases, all it takes is release the tension, know what to do, and there are specific exercises that you can learn to gradually train yourself to use your voice to produce sounds with the most relaxation possible. Obviously, some muscles will be always working, otherwise you wouldn't have any voice coming out. But it's amazing how much more effort people tend to make to use their voice than it's actually necessary. So if you work on releasing that tension, all of a sudden your sound will become bigger, more resonant, more round and smoother, and obviously it will be more beautiful. So this is a very simple thing to do, although not easy, but it's a very simple reason for a sound that you have, a voice that you have that you might not like the sound of. Just simply try to relax more when you speak. Another important factor in relaxing the throat when you speak is in using your breathing correctly. And we will talk about this in a later video, but breathing with your diaphragm as opposed to taking shallow breaths up here makes a huge difference in how much tension you put your throat under. Because if you breathe with your upper chest, which is what many people do, what that does, it creates tension around the throat, and also it doesn't give you enough breath support to make sure that you have a constant pressure of air coming up while at the same time making your throat as relaxed as it can be. What happens usually if you don't have a good pressure from your diaphragm and belly muscles, the pressure goes to the throat. And so you tend to squeeze the throat to have a good full sound, but it's an artificial full sound. It's not a real full sound. It's a full sound that it's forced full as opposed to relaxed full. See? So there's some work that needs to go towards relaxing and opening up your sound. It's an interesting fact that they say that when babies are born, their voice is naturally well placed, but then so many adults actually have voices that are not well placed. What happens there? It's all our emotional tensions and psychological things. They all, one way or another, they all influence and affect the voice, because the voice is such an intimate part of us. It's like our I don't know, it's like a little label on ourselves. It's like a business card. Your voice really conveys a lot of who you are. But the opposite is also true. If you work on releasing tension on your voice, making it more open, more relaxed, more natural, a lot of other more psychological, emotional things that may have caused that tension in the first place are released. I've been working with several people who, after just a few lessons, it was something I wasn't expecting, but they told me how working on their voice, working on opening up and developing their voice helped them release some habits or some blockages they had been experiencing for many years, and they believed those blockages were the primal cause for the voice to be so closed up and not very relaxed. So anyways, I mentioned this not because, if you want to do this, if you want to be free of your emotional blockages, work on your voice. I'm not saying this, but I'm saying that there can be many reasons why the voice is so not free, and people might wonder why, something that we do every day like speaking, and there are many reasons. The voice conveys even your mood. I remember when I was teaching middle school years ago in Switzerland, and I would come into the classroom. Sometimes, you go to work in the morning and you're not in your best mood. And I remember coming into my classroom and just saying 3 words, and almost, if I wasn't in a good mood, almost right away, one of the students would ask, "Are you okay?" They could hear it just from the sound of my voice, because there was nothing else that I was saying that would intimate about anything, but they could detect it. And as you know from experience, your voice really conveys a lot of your emotion, of your mood, really of who you are. So even just something as simple as getting rid of tension around your throat and knowing how to produce a full sound without tension can work miracles in terms of improving your sound. And if the sound improves, obviously, you're more likely to like it. So just look at the descriptions below if you want to know more about these things. There's a number of things that you can do to help your voice be the best it can be. And your voice is not better or worse than any others. It's just that you might not like it because you're not using it correctly. So give it a try, give your voice a chance, and don't automatically assume that you have to sound like somebody else. You can sound like yourself and have a beautiful sound that is pleasing, but not just pleasing, it's a sound that conveys who you are in a natural, honest, and genuine way. So I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.